Welcome, in front of me is a Motorola Moto G23, and today I'll go for unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. Now, starting off, let's see what exact model we have right here. So this is a 8GB storage with 128 or 8GB RAM, 128 storage. So there we go. Now let's pop it open. Okay, so there we go. Let's boot it up and see our screen. So just to quickly go into the screen specs right here, we're looking at a 6.5-inch display. It's a IPS LCD with 90 Hz refresh rate, 400 nits peak brightness, 83.9% screen to body ratio with 270 pixels per inch, and that is because it's running a 720p resolution. And as always, Motorola decides to blast you with stupidly loud volumes for no reason. I'm gonna quickly go to the setup. Now, one thing to mention, when I took out the device out of the box, as you've probably seen, it already comes with a pre-applied case on it. So if I take that off, you can see how it actually looks like. There we go. We have a nice frosted glass back. This looks like an aluminum frame around. Headphone jack. We also have some Dolby Atmos. Yeah, sure. And at the bottom, USB-C charging port with a speaker grill for that Dolby Atmos. Now, the reason I'm laughing at it is because, let's be honest, branding this Adobe Atmos is just a joke. There's no phone that can produce what Adobe Atmos technically should do. So yeah. Not now, don't care about your little newsletters and anything like that. So let's just finish this off and done. Okay, so one more thing that I didn't mention is we have a fingerprint sensor on the power button that doubles as a power button. I think that's a fingerprint sensor actually. Let's see. So it's gonna be, I believe, no, not here. Security, screen lock, we're gonna go with a pattern. And fingerprint. Yep, so the power button is a fingerprint sensor. Now, the reason I checked it is because it is a relatively small fingerprint sensor compared to some other ones that you have. For instance, like this is a Samsung. Actually, now that I look at it, it looks close. Though just the way you press it, it felt a little bit smaller than typical. So I just wanted to be absolutely certain about it. Now, let's flip the phone over where you'll see the triple camera setup right here. So the main one is a 50 megapixel sensor, which is advertised on the box. Then we have a 5 megapixel ultra wide and a shady sticker camera 2 megapixel macro. Now, the reason I call it a shady sticker camera is because at 50 megapixel wide sensor, you'll capture better macro photos with a 2x zoom on that 50 megapixels than you will with the 2 megapixel macro. So the 51 will produce a higher resolution, better zoom or better closeness to the subject, along with a significantly sharper image. So there's no reason to use this little garbage right here. You can basically take a hammer or a nail, beat it out of it, and just you wouldn't feel a difference because it's not like you're ever gonna use this garbage. You only paid for it. So moving on. This device is powered by a Helio G85 processor, and this was the, I believe, higher model, right? Yep, so this is one of the higher versions, actually the highest one that they have. The 128 and 8 gigabytes of RAM, like I mentioned at the start, but you can also go a little bit lower with 64 gigabytes of storage and 4 gigs of RAM. Now, if the price isn't that much higher, we're talking about, like, let's just say 30 to 50 bucks, there is no reason to go for the lower end. You will get much better performance out of the higher one with the higher RAM capacity and better storage. So I would recommend going for that one if you can. Now if you can't, for instance storage, I don't think we should be really worried about it, because we do have expendable storage if I'm correct. And I think I am, but we can check it. Yep, so I have dual SIM support along with the SD support. So yeah, if you go even with a 64 gigabytes of storage, you can still pop in like half a terabyte, maybe even up to a terabyte of SSD and SD card, what I meant to say, and you're good to go. Now, RAM is the one thing that you won't be able to upgrade, so 4 gigs might be on a lower side, but if you don't mind just having your apps basically constantly reload and just needing to like boot up every time you open them up, then you should be good. Not the best experience probably, but if your budget won't allow for it, obviously it will still work. Now moving on to the front-facing camera, which I actually didn't mention, we have a 16 megapixel wide sensor, and with all those cameras, back and front, the max resolution you can shoot at is 1080p at 30 frames per second. A little bit underwhelming, but it is what it is. It is I guess not really a budget device, it's more closer to mid-range, so I would have expected honestly a 60 Hz at least here, 60 frames per second at 1080p. So that's a little bit crappy, to be honest. Now, last thing to mention here, I did already show you the charging speed right here. It was a 33 watt charger that comes provided in the box. Type-C charging port with a Type-A for the charger. And we also have a hefty 5000 mAh battery in here, so this phone should last you a pretty decent amount, considering also the processor in here isn't like super powerful, so it also won't be consuming that much of the energy to run the device. So that's one, and additionally the display only at 720p. It's a downside at the resolution, but it's an upside for longevity of the battery, so you should be able to run this device a little bit longer with such a small resolution. And to be completely honest, I don't really see a difference here that much from like 720p, if that would be a 1080p. I don't see pixelations here, so it seems to be pretty fine, at least to me. And last thing, I did want to mention something. I kind of did blank out on what that was. Oh well, I guess I'm just gonna not mention what I don't remember that I wanted to mention. So let's just kind of finish this off, saying that for 230 euros, that's about the price that this will cost. Give me a sec. Is this like bent already? Seems like the battery is already kind of pushing out a little bit. Which isn't necessarily the best thing. Could be completely wrong. Let's check it out. I do have tools for this, so... So we're looking at 8 millimeters at the edge. I'm gonna check out right here because it feels like it's a little bit bloated for some reason. Yep, we have a little bit thicker one, about 8.5 millimeters. So either there are components that are just kind of like not too tightly packed and they're protruding just a little bit, or the battery in here is already kind of getting a little bit iffy, which would be not the best sign. But yeah, the thickness right here is about 0.5 millimeter, just like right over here. It's kind of feelable when you're holding the device, but like I said, it's only 0.5 millimeter, so it could be easily missed, and also it could be just like a margin of error. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, finishing this off, 230 euros, 32 watt charging, decent battery, 90 hertz refresh rate display, and that's about all I can say about like the positive things. The negatives right here would be the low resolution of the display, though like I mentioned, this could be a positive for the battery life at least, so it really depends on the user. It is a IPS display, so that's a little bit neat. It won't be as bright, as vibrant and just good looking as, for instance, like an OLED or AMOLED displays, but obviously those will cost a little bit more. We have a little bit of a cheap build quality, obviously. So we have a plastic frame. I think this is glass, but it could be also plastic for all I can tell. On the page it says it's plastic back, so I guess it is plastic, even though, like I said, it kind of feels like it is just a frosted glass. But you can do basically anything with plastic anyway. We have also disappointing recording qualities right here at 1080p 30 frames only. For the device that is priced in mid-range devices, obviously any kind of Xiaomi, Realme, Oppo's, and all those like other Chinese brands will outperform this phone in terms of photo quality. I would assume, though I haven't checked out photo quality, but in terms of like resolutions and frame rates, no competition here. Those will have like, no, without a doubt, 60 hertz or 60 frames per second at 1080p. So a little bit disappointing here for that price. And yeah, that's basically all there is to say. We do have also a headphone jack, which for some people this is still important. Now, with this being said, I'm not really gonna say if this phone is, well, if I would recommend it or not. It's priced a little bit weirdly, to be honest. But I guess if you already have it, it should do the job, obviously. Anyway, if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.